Today, we're here to watch Tyler Kearney's work and see what he presents to us based on his thesis. And it has been a pleasure working with you for a couple of years now, Tyler, from you taking the prerequisite courses, going through the whole grad program, and working with Dr. Ricky over this academic year. So we're excited to see what you have to present to us, and it's your show.
Yep. So thank you for you guys' help, especially Dr. Wiki
Hmm.
and Dr. Figueroa. I appreciate you guys like so much because we spent so much time on this and working throughout this whole process, and especially with Dr. Figueroa. I mean, Dr. Wiki too, but he taught me something. He was like, whenever we're doing research, if nothing goes wrong, then something is eventually going to go wrong, and we have to figure out when it is. So I kind of freaked out in the beginning because stuff wasn't coming together. But yeah, so let's just dive into this thesis and my hypothesis. So my thesis was on the degree of separation in the golf swing and the open kinetic chain. My name is Tyler Kearney, obviously. So the purpose of the introduction and purpose of this study was how the body mechanics affect the golf swing power, the X factor, which refers to the rotational angle between the torso and pelvis. Greater separation can store more energy, and our goal was to see if the golfers with larger shoulder pelvis separation and good flexibility generate higher club head speeds. We hypothesized that improving this separation will increase swing power and efficiency. This study focused on open chain movement, where the hands, which is the open chain part, which is the club, move freely to produce force. So our goal was just to analyze these things and try to get the best data and information we can to try to generate um, how the club moves through space as fast as possible to generate club head speed. So the key biomechanic concepts to this was the X factor is crucial. It's separation between shoulder and pelvis during the swing, which builds rotational tension. In golf, the chain is open, which means your hands and club move freely. So power comes from sequential segments. Power generation improves both force and speed. Power is force times velocity. A longer lever, which is the club, can increase torque. Additionally, applying force over time, which is impulse, a well a well-timed downswing will boost momentum of the club head speed. So the final literature shows dynamic warm-ups like torso rotations, core and hip activation, improve mobility and prepare the body, which can help produce better swing speed and prevent injuries. So here are some of the methods that we used, and I have more in detail on what we actually used to collect this data. So in our experiment, we recruited recreational golfers with no major lingering injuries. Each participant first did standardized warm up, where the participant began with a 3-minute walk on a treadmill at 2% grade increase. The speed of the walking began at 2.5 miles per hour and increased by 0.1 miles per hour every 15 seconds for the entire duration of the warm up. The final jogging speed was 3.5 miles per hour. Following this, participants were introduced to take a 1-minute rest period. The participants started off with a staggered B stance that they go and apply a slight pressure on the forward foot and use the rear foot as assistance for balance. After the participants place their golf club on top of their shoulders and begin to rotate around the front leg, mimic the movement of the golf swing. They would be asked to increase their range of motion on each turn while remaining balanced, and everyone performed the same warm up for 10 repetitions on each leg for 2 sets. After they completed the 10 reps of rotation, each participant took a 30-second break which was timed using a stopwatch. They hit golf balls in the lab setup where we used a net. They stood on force plates to measure ground force reaction and wore motion capture suits and markers to track body movement. And we used the MLM Rapsodo to measure club data. All data was collected and performed using the natural point. The specific software used was control hardware was Motive version 2.1. A 20 camera system was used to determine the three-dimensional location of the markers when performing the task. The ground reaction forces were measured on Birktech force plates, 1 foot on each plate. Cameras were first calibrated by using calibration wand to calculate the three-dimensional location of the markers for the two-dimensional plane of the camera imaging. The accuracy of the point was within 1 millimeter. The force plates were set to record at 1,000 hertz and the cameras were 250 hertz. We recorded 3 joint torque, hip and shoulder rotation angles, and club speed. We analyzed how the degrees of torso-pelvic separation both at static position and dynamic during the swing. Related to measured club head speed, this correlation analyzes the identity which phases of the swing we are looking at, backswing and downswing, and which types measure static and dynamic, best predict swing power. So with that being said, after all of that research that we put in and how we did it, our findings were the key findings in the downswing and X factor, which the X factor is how much the shoulders move relative to the hips while swinging down, showed the highest correlation with how fast the club was moving at impact. In other words, golfers who generated more shoulder and hip separation in motion hit the ball faster. So alternatively, simply having a large separation at the top of the backswing, which is static, did not guarantee high speed. It must be released efficiently. In general, the dynamic measurement, which is tracking motion through the swing, were better predictors than static posture alone. This suggested timing and movement quality are crucial. It's not just how far you can rotate, but how well you sequence that motion. So in our discussion, these results highlight that swing technique is more important than raw muscle strength. Many recreational golfers try to muscle the swing, which leads to poor sequencing and energy loss. By contrast, professional players use smooth, well-timed rotation. Their shoulders and hips fire in sequence, maximizing torque from the X factor. Particularly, coaches should focus on dynamic flexibility and proper swing sequences in training. Warm-up routines that activate the core, hips, and are also crucial, as they enable a safe and powerful swing, and in summary, improving how one swing, essentially timing the torso and hip separation, can yield more speed gains than adding strength alone. So in our conclusion, this thesis shows that maximizing golf swing power relies on optimizing the separation between the torso and pelvis during the swing. Simply being flexible is not enough. Just a controlled release, that separation in motion that drives club head speed. The practical takeaway is clear. Golfers should work on drills that enhance rotational range and timing. Such exercises, and a good example would be working with medicine ball throws with rotation and dynamic rotational stretching, and maintaining a good warm-up routine will create a better X factor and hip and shoulder rotation. This research suggests that improving swing mechanics can produce measurable gains in performance. Future work could be explored these principles across skill levels and include more in-depth neuromuscular analysis. So thank you, and that's our results on the separation of the pelvis and shoulders in the golf swing and the X factor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you, Tyler, for that. Appreciate that. I have a couple of questions for you and hope you can answer them.
sure.
Is there a range of motion or a range of flexibility that's ideal for a golfer's swing?
Yes, that
Like a range of degrees that the person should actually reach
yeah.
to optimal swing.
So within the hips, it should be about 45 degrees, and within the shoulders, it should be about 90 degrees.
Mm.
And when we did the study, that's why the static doesn't really matter that much because of the fact that just about everybody that participated as a recreational golfer could rotate fully 90 degrees and turn their hips all the way, front and forward swing and back swing, tested in static and dynamic, it was tested. So when you put the correlation together, even with the data, outside of that alone, you just see that the X factor means that there's a separation. So if you could keep that separation, it will generate a speed. If you can't keep it, then it'll just basically die out because you're applying force at the wrong angle. Creating those angles is perfect because that's essentially what the swing is. But if you don't have the timing and mechanic down pack to hold those positions for an extended period of time, while creating a neuromuscular efficient swing, it'll basically take over by your muscles activating in the wrong sequence, which will cause poor energy release.
I forgot I muted myself. Um, so you had mentioned before, like having the larger separation causes a greater power output with with the swing. What do you think is attributing that?
Say that again. I'm sorry. It like clicked off and I was trying to change it. So say that again.
Sure,
Sorry.
sure. You had mentioned that having the larger separation between the hips and shoulders added to the power of the swing.
Yeah.
And I think you alluded to that in your description a second ago, but do you know which proprioceptors might be involved in that?
Yeah, I think that it would be the proprioception of the ground, also the hands. We didn't really go that much in depth on
No,
proprio.
no, I'm saying within the muscle itself, do you think it's the muscle spindles, the stretch reflex, that if you're getting a larger separation, you're getting that elastic recoil back, similar to what a pitcher does when they throw a
Oh
ball?
yeah, so yeah, absolutely. I think that, like that's a perfect example is pitching. When someone is pitching a baseball, usually they have the mound and you'll see them like dig the mound out because when you turn to create a certain amount of recoil and torque, the muscle spindles will release fast when you can generate a lot of force and you're trying to release it. But if it's not released at the right time, where if someone throws a faulty throw, where they
Mhm.
just plant forward and throw with their arm, you're not using the correct separation and sequencing, which I think that is learning how to sequence ground reaction forces with recoil, torque, and just working within a transverse plane and angular efficiency. Like I said before, subsequential sequencing.
Okay, Dr. Wiki, you have any questions or anything? Comments?
Yeah, Tyler, just have one question. Based on the research that you've done, how would you, because I know you work with golfers and whatnot, and you are an avid golfer yourself, what would you do differently now that you might not have done before doing this research?
Oh, there's so many. That's such a that's such a great question. So basically the study within itself, just to start off with that, was to figure out and learn like what's causing the recreational golfer to not be able to get over this hump. Like any other sport or anything where it comes down to training, there's always going to be some new aid, some new device that's going to obviously help those who can try to maximize that 1% or just trying to make small changes and getting instant feedback is great. But I think that if I had to give this to the recreational golfer who obviously doesn't hit 1,000 golf balls and play golf for 8 to 10 hours on end every day would be that you have to teach your body how to relearn a new system because a lot of people figure, well, golf is just a sport where you're swinging a stick at a ball. It can't be that hard. Where there's actually a lot more athleticism in it than you would think. So, in the comparison, would be teaching a recreational player how to do anything and gaining a little more insight and information on what's causing them to not be able to figure out something that this is a sport that hasn't been figured out over 100 years, if not more. And I think that what I would change would be the way I thought about training, firing the glutes and having strong abs and being a little more athletic, creating more of ground force by using vertical aspects, which do work. Sequencing and timing is actually more important, because what I've noticed is if you can't sequence something slow, when you speed it up, it just amplifies and makes everything worse. So learning how to teach someone sequencing and rotational timing, working a lot on dynamic flexibility, and coming up with a dynamic routine specifically for golf that you would do typically 15 minutes before playing. There's a lot of psychology that goes into the sport as well, which is a little bit outside of this study, but you obviously know it's a long sport. You're playing 18 holes, roughly 3.5 to 4 hours. You know, that could be pretty taxing on your mind depending on the weather as well. So I think that I would probably change that, in just in terms of not trying to work on so much force output, but more slowed down force output with understanding sequence and timing.
Nice.
I have just
Beautiful.
one more
Yeah.
question based on what you were saying. Do you
Yeah.
think if someone is too flexible, they're overstretching themselves, that it would take away from their force production from the stretch reflex?
Yes, absolutely. So I think that that's a perfect example of why we also mentioned that the static stretching and static
Yeah.
measurement that we got didn't really correlate too much to the study, because of the fact that if you are very flexible, for one, if the club goes too far, there's a much more margin for error when you come back. Also, if your flexibility is not, if your fast twitch muscles and the cycle is stretched too far, you can either A, potentially hurt yourself, or B, you would have to really teach yourself probably a lot harder on how to sequence that and time it, because there's just such a large gap opening between start, backswing to coming back to impact and following through. Being able to go further is good, but it also depends. There is a gray area of how far back you kind of want to go. Everything is more personalized and specific to some people. You do have golfers who have played where, like, it almost looks like the club is angled down behind them and they bring it all the way back around, and they're almost like a unicorn, because it's like you'll see more people with a half swing or not as far back, just making sure the shoulders are 90 degrees, more than trying to rotate as hard as they can or as far as they can. Yeah, so if that answers your question in terms of flexibility, just simply being flexible is just not enough.
Great, thank you. Does anybody listening? We have a large crowd here. Want to say anything to Tyler?
Proud? I didn't even know.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, like 1,000 people here.
1,000 people here. This is great. Yeah, man.
Well, this is Tyler's mom. I just wanted to tell him how proud I am of him and all of his hard work, and just to see that it has come to fruition, that it's actually, he's at the point where his thesis prayerfully will be published, and hopefully it will help other golfers, and because I know he's worked hard at it, so, and he had a lot of help, and I want to thank you guys as well. But thank you so much, and Tyler, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So what's next, Tyler? What do you want to do with this? You have a lot of information that you should be sharing.
So I basically want to go out and present this to a larger crowd to make sure that a lot more golfers who are obviously just as frustrated as everyone else that picks up a golf club can gain a little more understanding, rely on it, and having something to lean on. That obviously there's a lot of detailed and standard deviation and all of these big words and things we could throw around that obviously we're talking about it and we would completely have a great conversation going over that. But there's also people out there who they honestly have no clue what torque is, how to create force, tension, recoil, muscle spindle, fast twitch muscle fibers. It's almost like speaking another language to them. And I think that being able to present this information to a lot more golfers and recreational golfers, especially younger golfers and kids that, see these skinny guys that play on the tour and they make all this money and they hit the wall 320 yards and they're 140 pounds soaking wet. It's obviously a testament to, what you see on TV is probably far-fetched from what the recreational golfer will get, but the game becomes more fun when you learn how to train things properly. And I think that comes within any timing and being able to learn how to master multiple sports and different body mechanics and learning how to open up those proprioceptors and neuromuscular actions to teach yourself how to just be able to be a little more athletic within whatever scope of sport you're trying to play in. This one specifically would be golf. I actually plan on doing more research. I would probably love to follow up this study with maybe, if not recreational, maybe the next step above that. So like a scratch golfer or like maybe low handicap golfers. I know trying to get a pro golfer would be a little difficult. I do want to expand on this, and Dr. Wiki helped me a lot with just making me feel like I fell in love with like wanting to just do research and learn more about topics that these things are important. Like there's a lot of people out there that are just seeking information, and going through this program and going through this process with my thesis made it 10 times easier for me to help myself and also be a testament to help other people. Where I started playing golf 3 years ago and I play within like the 80s range, which people seem to think is great. And I'm kind of a competitor, so I don't till it's perfect, it's not right. But everybody's not like that. Some people just want to get it where it's like I can hit it a little bit straight, I can have fun with the people I play with, and they don't want to be a pro golfer or they don't want to take it to make millions of dollars. It's just teaching somebody something and having them have confidence in themselves to learn it the right way and just taking it slow, taking it day by day, because we all know that neurologically you can't teach yourself how to do something in a day. So it's like, you can't teach yourself how to juggle tonight and know how to do it tomorrow.
Yeah, you definitely make a good point, and that's the one thing that I think in our program we try to emphasize is the applied science. We have the hard science where you did the science, the research, but then how does it go from the lab to the world, and being that bridge between the people that need the information and where you're getting the information is what you do, is you're educating people. So I'm glad you said that, and from my end, and I'm sure Dr. Wiki also can share this as well. Speak up if you don't. But even though you've graduated and everything, you still have us in your corner, and if you need the labs or anything like that, we're more than happy to help you out and work with you in the future.
I appreciate it.
And just to add, your fiance just sent a chat question saying that she can't talk. However, can you implement this study to someone who has younger children? So what do you think about that?
Mm.
Can you implement it to someone who has younger children?
I think she's asking, is this only appropriate for adults? Because that's what the study was, but do you think it could be worked into, or what parts of it can you work into having with younger children?
Okay. So I would say that the sequencing, neuromuscular, and fast twitch, hand-eye coordination, all of those things are important within teaching a kid. And that alone would be the focus on exercise with a kid, because actually learning neuromuscular habit, which is basically considered muscle memory, is so much easier to teach to a child because their body will just learn how to adapt to certain things. Where you'll see someone obviously that's on the PGA tour, it looks like they're swinging out of their shoes and their body's moving really fast, but in essence it's really actually moving slow. They're trying to do the opposite of what is being taught. So it's probably 10 times easier to teach the X factor and separation and all of these terms and pressure shift to a child, because of the fact that, for one, they're young and their brain and their body and muscles is absorbing a certain adaptation within the sport. Just saying, the earlier someone starts at anything, you have a little bit more leverage. And yes, that would work out perfectly, because coincidentally, yesterday I was playing golf with a kid who's 14 years old from Glenrock named Josh. Whoever he is out there, maybe one day he'll see this. He's 14 years old and he's hitting the ball 290, 300 yards and started playing golf a year ago. That alone is just a testament to him learning sequencing. He obviously told me he got lessons. He said he got about 10 lessons. And other than that, his dad's been working with him. The kid looked pretty good out there, and he's only 14 years old, and he's hitting the ball pretty much close to me. And we have about a 15-year gap between each other. The fact that a 14-year-old can move it like that and get the ball out there away is just a testament to everything that I just said. Because if me and him were to go weight for weight and we lifted weight, I'd obviously, be able to have a higher capacity than he would. But just him learning the correct sequencing, like I said before, the adaptations of his muscles and his mind connection, learning these things, it would be so much easier to teach it to a younger kid.
Great. This has been great. I really appreciate what you shared with us today. I think you're going to work on hopefully publishing this and presenting it somewhere. That would be a great thing to do, especially after you do all this work for a year. You want to share it with the world.
I just interrupt Dr. Figueroa. We took this thesis and a portion of it and submitted it to the International Society of Biomechanics and Sports conference in Doha. And I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, we received notification that it was accepted with some revisions and whatnot. So just making those changes, and hopefully we'll be heading to, so either way, it's accepted and published. It will be published there, and hopefully we can make it to Doha so that Tyler can actually present his research to the top biomechanists in the world. So
excellent. Congratulations.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Well, that's awesome.
well, that was for you to say. I was hoping you'd say something, but
I was gonna say it, but
So-
then as soon as
That's
I was about to
awesome.
say it, I just looped it to something else because
yeah. Well,
I
you
don't.
should be. It's
was
a
like-
testament to the quality of what you did, is the fact that you were able to get this published in such a high quality area. So congratulations.
Patting yourself on the back should also help your golf swing as well. So feel free to do that.
Yeah, you work on internal
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
You're getting a lot of amazings. Congratulations. I love how passionate you are about
Yes.
this. So yeah, definitely, you should certainly celebrate this achievement, and just, this is the beginning, right? This is the beginning of many more things to come. So just keep moving forward.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Especially coming from you too. It means a lot.
you.
You guys
Thank
help me
you.
out tons, like tons. I can't even explain. So I greatly appreciate it.
Well, it's our pleasure, man. It definitely is. So
Dr. Figueroa and Dr. Wiki, thank you so much.
you're welcome. Thank you. You
Now
made
it's
him.
awesome news. Awesome.
All right. Well, if nothing
Congratulations,
else,
Tyler.
there's one more chat. Congratulations from Xavier. That was nice. So yeah, if nothing else, want to wish you the best.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everybody. I appreciate everybody that logged on. My kids are in daycare, so Case and Saray, I love y'all. Thank you, y'all. But it's all good. So
Congratulations, Tyler.
thank
Congratulations.
you. Thanks, Dr. Fig.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye.